All right, so welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if this is your first time. My name is Jay. Today's topic is going to be what is MBTI, as well as we're going to talk about teleology, and we're going to talk about compartmentalizing things. So I'll tell you about that later. But what is MBTI? It's pretty much MBTI was created by Myers-Briggs. It's a test. It's a personality test, and it's really just an abbreviation of the 8 cognitive functions. And so the cognitive functions are more into what it really is, what it's looking into. And that's really how your mind works, the parts that it likes to use over one another. And so we each have different ones that we like to use over another. There are 16 different personalities. 16 different cognitive stacks, or however you want to call it. I'm not an expert on it. It's just sort of like sort of an overview, just to get you to understand the point or the idea, right? So for me, my cognitive functions. First off, everybody uses all 8, but there are 4 main ones that make up your personality, and that's what I'm gonna go by. So I'm an ENTP, that's going by Myers-Briggs. Cognitive function stack-wise, I'm a NE, so extroverted intuition, introverted thinking, and then I'm extroverted feeling, and then introverted sensing. Everybody has different ones, and for me, I have a name. Everybody has a name. I'm called the innovator or originator of ideas. We're only 3% of the population. So not a lot. Intuitives in general are very scarce, and I'm an extroverted intuitive. Socrates was an ENTP like me, so that's just something about that. That's not so much of the deep stuff. I'm gonna get into the deep stuff now. The importance of the personality, the cognitive functions and everything like that. Not just the MBTI, because that's really just introducing you into the cognitive functions. But the reason that I find it important is it goes actually back to a theory that I have on. It's based off of teleology, and if you don't know what teleology is, it's the belief that everything actually has a function, or so it's sort of like a purpose, but more so it's really function, right? Everything has it operates in a certain way for a certain reason, in order to do a certain thing. And the reason that I feel so strongly about my theory on that is that we already know that on a microscopic scale, it's you can't deny to a certain point that teleology is a thing, because you yourself are made up of things, living things that serve a purpose, right? You have cells, even like your nervous system, things like that. They have a function. And so my theory is that living things in general are actually just a continuation of that same process, to where something has a function in order to achieve some type of objective. Because the things that make up, like, let's say the cells that give me fingernails, right? Or the cells that give me hair, there are certain cells for certain things. There's certain systems within your body that serve a certain purpose. Well, the same thing, I feel like MBTI, or the cognitive functions on a larger scale, is a part of the function of a society, which is a system, right? Or the function of a civilization even, or life, right? Because we have these different we have these different operation systems in which we use to live out our lives, and they make us do certain things. And with these certain things, we collectively create something that's, for one, always maintaining itself, and then 2, it's always changing and innovating. And so before I actually knew about the MBTI, or the cognitive stacks or functions or whatever, I actually had a theory that majority of the population were meant to maintain the structure of society where it's at, while a few of us are actually meant to go out and sort of change things and change. Like we're sort of a roadmap to change and to understanding. And so I actually had a theory that it was built within us and humans to understand our own nature as well as maintain our nature and work towards a sort of some type of end goal or objective. And I have a theory on why living things exist. I'm not going to get too into that right now. I'm going to say that for another time. But yeah. So the thing with this is that a lot of these things are looked over, not because they're incorrect or because they didn't have credibility. It's because of human nature. The reason that MBTI and the cognitive functions aren't looked at as something as valid as, things that are researched and studied and deeply, they're rooted in something that was known long ago is because, most of the society, they're maintainers. They're meant to maintain the structure where it's at. They don't think about progress or progression. They really just want to maintain, and they need concrete evidence. Those are the sensors, right? So whenever I found out about MBTI, I found out that 75% of the population, roughly 75%, they're sensors, and then 25% are intuitives. So the sensors, of course, want to maintain the structure where it's at. Intuitives want to carry it forward. Now I'm going to introduce you to we're going to go back to teleology because I already introduced you to it, but really, sorry, not teleology. We're going to get into the compartmentalization and how the mind likes to separate things into its own little categories. Because according to, there's a Stanford University professor by the name of Robert Sapolsky. Yeah, I believe I think that's how you say it. Hopefully I didn't butcher it too bad, but he actually is a professor of human behavioral biology. And in his words, he said that it is our natural tendency to compartmentalize things that are actually not separate. So for example, let's take like the wind, right? We have a name for something that, honestly, in my opinion, I would consider the wind to be an action, and it's because it's something that's enacting on us, right? And it's something that happens as an effect of something else. So it's a cause of an effect, right, in the ecosystem, or however you want to call that, whatever you want to do with that. But we tend to compartmentalize things in that sense, but in reality, they're connected. And so the true importance of the cognitive functions in the MBTI, even because it's a way for us to recognize what the 8 cognitive functions are. The importance is that it all comes together. It comes together with philosophy and science. Everything's truly just one. It's our true nature, right? It's our true nature plus our objective as a society, as a civilization. And so I encourage you to open your mind up to this experience, to look into it, just because it's something that a lot of times is overlooked as pseudoscience or not really of any importance. But if you're compartmentalizing stuff and you're trying to separate from one another when it's not, according to, actual research, this is not coming from me, it's coming from the Stanford professor. You can go and watch it on YouTube. You don't really know the true nature of something until you look at it as an entirety of what it, you don't really know. If you take a separate thing and try to determine what it truly is just by looking at it solely, you're not going to realize that it's a piece of a puzzle, right? If it's a piece, you're not going to realize that it's a piece of a puzzle if you're just looking at it. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. I'm not going to get too much into my theories just because I'm trying to introduce people to this concept and to this sort of framework for how the mind works and everything. So that's about it. If you have anything you want to add to that, please comment down below. And if you enjoyed my interpretation of what MBTI is and more so the 8 cognitive functions, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.